One summer when I was little, my dad took me rock collecting. We sat on the beach and sifted through tiny rocks, searching for agates. The way to spot an agate, he told me, is to look for the reddish rings formed long ago when the rock was still wrapped within the earth as the layers of minerals wrote out the story of where it came from. My father could spend all day collecting rocks, large rocks, small rocks, gray rocks, red rocks. Sometimes when he's driving, he'll see a rock on the side of the road and stop to pick it up. These rocks end up in our backyard or in the alley alongside our house. This fascination with rocks may seem quirky and eccentric, but I wonder sometimes if rock collecting is stored somewhere in the rings of his DNA, of my DNA. Ji-chan, my great-grandfather, collected rocks too. He didn't before the war, but then one day a sign on a telephone pole informed him that he was the enemy, and that he and his family had a week to report to the Fresno Fairgrounds, which had been turned into a prison for people of Japanese ancestry. He had a week to pack only what he could carry and decide what to leave behind. As he pulled his suitcase through the door that last time, he must have thought about everything he had lost. He lost his name when the customs official misread the kanji for Kiyokazu as Seiichi. He lost the baby daughter he'd buried on his grape farm in Fresno. He lost the family's good lacquerware that he stored under the pump house before he left and may still be there to this day because he never returned. He lost the tractor that he'd proudly bought after years of saving. He lost the crop of grapes that were not ready to harvest when the military police came to take him and his family from their home. He lost the farm itself after a bad harvest to neighbors who knew they could take advantage of the fact that he couldn't come back. He lost his dignity in the mess halls where they ate and the horse stalls where they slept. He lost his pride, tangled in the barbed wire fence that surrounded them. He lost the hope that this would all be over soon when the War Relocation Authority sent him and his family, first to Jerome, Arkansas, 5 days away by train, and then after that to Heart Mountain, Wyoming, where there was a mountain that looked nothing like a heart no matter how many days he woke up to it. He lost the country he had left when he answered yes, he would renounce all ties to the emperor, even though this country wouldn't take him. So when, at the end of it all, the War Relocation Authority handed him a check for $25 and said they would ship anything he wanted back to California, he built some crates and went searching for belongings to pack. But he didn't have many belongings at Heart Mountain, so he began to pack rocks. One rock for every humiliation he'd endured in silence and for every painful memory. Each rock a small taste of the hardships he'd faced for the government that had only ever given him $25, but for whom he had given everything. Ji-chan had nothing left to carry, so he carried rocks instead. He gave the crates of rocks to the soldiers, and they picked them up, groaning under the weight. "What is this?" one of them asked. "It feels like rocks," the other replied, but to him it must have felt like emptiness, like a joke that he'd played on himself. My Ji-chan arrived back in California without a place to live, without a home for his family. He left some rocks at the train station. He left some by the shed they'd call home for months after returning to California. He left some by the side of the road because they were too heavy to carry. And that is why, when my father picks up a rock these days, I wonder where it came from.